A chill ran through Li Fan, raising every hair on his body. He whirled around, his eyes narrowing sharply and filled with caution as they landed on He Jianghao. He Jianghao was momentarily surprised by Li Fan's intense reaction. Fortunately, he brushed it aside and offered a warm smile instead. No need to be so tense. I merely wanted to inquire whether you might be interested in becoming an island guardian, not for Liuli Island, naturally, but for Tian Island, located to the west of here. He Jianghao explained. The current guardian of Tian Island is a good friend of mine. He's hit a bottleneck in his cultivation and wants to head out to seek new opportunities. Unfortunately, his responsibilities tie him to the island, so he can't leave without approval. That's why he asked me to find a suitable replacement, and by chance, I ran into you. Li Fan asked in surprise. To serve as an island guardian, doesn't one need to be at least in the Foundation establishment realm? I've only just reached the early Qi refinement stage. Am I truly qualified for the role? He Jianghao assured him with great enthusiasm. Of course, this wouldn't be a formal guardianship position. My friend would simply give you a direct commission to act as his temporary replacement. After all, Tian Island isn't especially large. With its protective array active, a cultivator in the Qi refinement realm would be perfectly capable of managing it for a while. There's no need for concern. And since I'm the one recommending you, I'd naturally get a portion of the compensation as well. Li Fan inquired. During this temporary guardianship, how long am I allowed to be away from the island? The island's protective array is usually activated once every 5 days. Should you need to depart for any purpose, it's advisable to return within that 5-day window. You should not leave more than 3 times within a single year. Worried that Li Fan might fear the role would hinder his cultivation, He Jianghao quickly added. Once you receive your yearly contribution points, you can trade them at the Tianxian Mirror for 5 days in assisted cultivation mode. Those 5 days are typically worth half a year of regular practice. Seeing this as a perfect opportunity, Li Fan accepted without hesitation and then added. However, I must first return to Myriad Immortals Island to finish my current mission task. He Jianghao smiled and answered. Of course, feel free to do so. I'll escort you to Tian Island in a few days. With that, Li Fan took his leave of He Jianghao and headed back to Myriad Immortals Island. There was no reason to stop by the medicine hall in person. He could turn in the Liuli pearls directly through the Tianxian Mirror. Moments later, the medicine hall acknowledged receipt of the 23 pearls. Given their varying quality, Li Fan received 21 contribution points as compensation. His current total contribution points, 26. Far too little, barely sufficient for 2 days of cultivation. Li Fan shook his head. He removed the gold, silver, and halt steel fragment from his storage ring and submitted them for conversion into contribution points. Shortly afterward, the Tianxian Mirror provided its evaluation. Batch of gold and silver, convertible to 235 contribution points. Heaven and Earth Curio, halt steel fragment, quality, flawed, convertible to 1968 contribution points. Li Fan did not rush to spend his newly acquired wealth. Instead, he first expressed his worries to the Tianxian Mirror. Will any disasters strike the Zhongyunxi region in the near future? Li Fan relayed to the Tianxian Mirror all the unusual occurrences that Zhang Haobo had mentioned. The Tianxian Mirror remained silent. It was only after a prolonged silence that the Tianxian Mirror finally responded. Rest assured, cultivator, these are merely natural fluctuations of heaven and earth. According to calculations, no significant disasters will strike within the next decade. Since the Tianxian Mirror had assured him, Li Fan felt relieved. After that, he paused to think for a moment before looking up details about Liuli pills. Liuli pills served as an auxiliary elixir for cultivators in the Qi refinement and foundation establishment stages. Upon ingestion, they cleared and purified the mind, rendering it as pristine as glazed glass. This created an effect akin to a state of epiphany, enhancing comprehension of techniques and accelerating cultivation progress. Moreover, their benefits could be combined with the enhancement provided by the Tianxian Mirror's assisted cultivation mode. Because the overwhelming majority of cultivators in the Myriad Immortals Alliance devoted most of their time to journeys abroad in order to gather contribution points, their actual cultivation periods were extremely limited. As a result, Liuli pills, which could significantly enhance cultivation efficiency, gained even greater value among qi refinement and foundation establishment cultivators. These pills were in high demand, with each one typically trading for between 5 and 6 contribution points. Li Fan reflected. Since the lily fish had nearly disappeared for mysterious reasons, the price of lily pills was certain to skyrocket. He then used 2,100 contribution points to buy 350 lily pills from the Tianxian mirror all at once. It was only after that he informed the Tianxian mirror about the near-total disappearance of the lily fish schools in the waters surrounding Lily Island. The Tianxian mirror was silent for a moment, releasing only subtle waves of energy. After some time, Li Fan was granted a reward of 1 contribution point. This served as the Tianxian mirror's confirmation that the information was accurate. Seeing this, Li Fan was inwardly astonished. Only 1 contribution point for important intelligence. Could it be that hoarding goods is seen as somewhat malicious behavior by the Tianxian mirror, so it only gave me a remuneration of 1 point? Does this Tianxian mirror truly possess a will of its own? Li Fan didn't mind. His objectives for this maneuver had already been achieved. First, this demonstrated that the Tianxian mirror had no knowledge of events taking place after he departed from Myriad Immortals Island. In other words, as long as he remained off the island, he had no reason to worry about its surveillance. Second, it verified that the Tianxian mirror truly possessed its own independent will. The deliberate stinginess of granting him just 1 contribution point was an unmistakable act of petty retaliation directed at Li Fan. Third, and most appealingly, he could now capitalize on this prime chance to make a substantial profit. The market reacted almost instantly. The price of lily pills surged rapidly in a brief period, climbing from 6 contribution points per pill to 9. Once word spread that the supply of lily pearls had been cut off and lily pills could no longer be manufactured for the foreseeable future, it immediately sparked a frenzy of panicked purchasing. This abrupt spike in price quickly drew the notice of those who had yet to hear about the issue. After making inquiries, they discovered the looming shortage of lily pearls and rushed to join the frantic purchasing wave. The cost of lily pills climbed even higher, momentarily hitting an astonishing peak of 12 points per pill. Judging the moment perfect, Li Fan decided to sell off all his lily pills, offloading them straight back to the Tianxian mirror. Because of the intense demand, the Tianxian mirror did not drastically reduce its buyback price for the pills as it had done with the Halt Steel fragment. Instead, it provided a generous offer of 10 points per pill. Satisfied with the deal and unwilling to push his luck, Li Fan immediately sold all 350 pills he held. An influx of 3,500 contribution points promptly entered his account. Adding this to his remaining balance of 129 points, Li Fan's total contribution points now reached an impressive 3,629. Following Li Fan's sale, the market's excitement gradually subsided. A price of 12 points plainly surpassed the true worth of a lily pill. After all, its benefits were not exclusive. Many other elixirs provided comparable effects. The lily pill's appeal had always come from its affordability. The brief surge in price was merely the result of the market briefly losing composure amid the startling news. Once calm returned, the cost of lily pills settled at a more sensible level, 8 contribution points per pill. At this point, Li Fan bought an additional 100 pills for his personal cultivation needs. After spending 800 points, his remaining contribution points stood at 2829. Through this sequence of clever moves, Li Fan had not only earned an extra 600 contribution points but had also effectively acquired 100 lily pills at no cost. Those 600 points equaled the full yearly earnings of a typical hardworking qi refinement cultivator who devoted themselves entirely to mission tasks, not to mention the 100 lily pills, which were practically equivalent to solid currency. He promptly bought every item he could get his hands on, regardless of whether it would prove useful. Introduction to Arrays, Primer on Alchemy, Fundamentals of Artifact Forging, Compendium of Treasures in the Cultivation World, and numerous others. As for everyday essentials for cultivators, such as protective robes, qi concealing talismans, basic composite arrays, and starter alchemy kits, Li Fan acquired them all without hesitation. As his storage ring gradually filled to capacity, his contribution points dwindled rapidly. falling to 346. Li Fan harbored no trace of regret. After finishing his buying frenzy, he ingested a lily pill, enabled the assisted cultivation mode, and commenced cultivating the lesser water manipulation art. A profusion of water attribute spiritual chi rushed in, allowing Li Fan to once more savor the sensation of progressing at the speed of a true genius. In a mere 2 days, Li Fan advanced to the early chi refinement stage. Over the following 3 days, he pushed the lesser water manipulation art all the way to the peak of the mid-stage chi refinement realm. He encountered no obstacles whatsoever, and his progress flowed as effortlessly as water streaming downhill. The experience was incredibly thrilling, leaving him yearning for more. Just as he was wondering whether to sell a portion of his lily pills to purchase the next section of the technique, a visitation request arrived from He Jianghao. Li Fan paused to consider it briefly. He then took out the newly acquired chi concealing talisman from his storage ring, applied it to himself, and granted He Jianghao entry. As soon as He Jianghao caught sight of Li Fan, he spoke with evident excitement. "I've already discussed matters with the guardian of Tian Island. I'll take you to meet him right now. All you have to do is accept the commission." Then, He Jianghao pulled out a spirit talisman and passed it to Li Fan. "Put this on, and remember, when you meet him later, keep quiet and don't say much, just leave everything to me." Li Fan took the talisman and glanced at it. Immediately, his face darkened. If he hadn't just bought an identical one not long ago, he wouldn't have recognized what this was. This talisman was known as the Aura Exaltation Talisman, and its function was the reverse of the Chi Concealing Talisman. Whereas the Chi Concealing Talisman concealed one's cultivation level, the Aura Exaltation Talisman allowed a person to masquerade as a cultivator of a particular realm. By providing him with this talisman, He Jianghao clearly wanted Li Fan to masquerade as a Foundation Establishment cultivator. That earlier claim about a Chi refinement cultivator being sufficient to guard an island had merely been a deception to lure him in. From the very beginning, He Jianghao's plan had been to have Li Fan impersonate a Foundation Establishment expert in order to take on the commission from Tian Island's guardian, thereby allowing him to skim off the difference for himself. After all, the contribution points required to hire a Foundation Establishment cultivator compared to one in the Chi refinement realm were worlds apart. He Jianghao remained oblivious to Li Fan's expression. With a smile, he presented Li Fan to the guardian of Tian Island, Zhou Qingang. Unable to call out He Jianghao without complications, Li Fan managed a strained smile and offered his greetings to Zhou Qingang. "I should avoid getting too entangled with this fellow," Li Fan mused inwardly, casting a quick, sidelong glance at the beaming He Jianghao. Zhou Qingang examined Li Fan closely and appeared quite pleased. He promptly issued a commission to He Jianghao. Upon receiving it, He Jianghao turned around and issued a new commission to Li Fan. "Act as guardian of Tian Island in Zhou Qinggang's place while he ventures out to pursue his breakthrough opportunity. Reward, 800 contribution points annually." Fortunately, He Jianghao hadn't taken an excessive cut. At this juncture, Li Fan had little choice but to accept the assignment. Zhou Qingang passed a jade token to He Jianghao before hurriedly departing to pursue his breakthrough opportunity. Observing this, He Jianghao let out a quiet sigh of relief. He then handed the token to Li Fan and spoke with notable seriousness. "This is the Guardian token for Tian Island. It allows you to command the island's protective array. You must guard it carefully, young friend. Do not let it out of your possession." Li Fan took the token, and the two of them passed through the teleportation array, emerging on Tian Island. Unlike the grand, thousand-peak display of Lily Island's protective array, Tian Island's formation manifested as a bustling, seemingly thriving city. What truly distinguished it, though, were its residents. Every one of them was a fruit with an eerily human-like face.